2, 3. Everybody there? Testing 1, 2, 3. So yesterday we were talking about, last week, when we continued our study in the beautiful, powerful book of the law. Okay, hang on 1 second. Can you all hear me? I just want to make sure. Is it clear? 4 means yes. Okay, so Jeffrey, is it still light for you? Okay, hold on. Let me just turn up the sound a little bit. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody can hear. All right, Jeffrey, is that better or just a little? Okay. Trying to adjust my microphone a little bit if I can. All right. So last week we were talking about the beautiful book of the law, Deuteronomy, and we started in chapter 23. We've gone through 22 chapters of this powerful book. Again, the book of the law, the word. These be the words is the actual name of this book. These be the words. Again, it's powerful in many ways. It teaches us the history of our people, our fathers' history in being delivered from the bondage of Mizraim and Hamitic bondage to the journeyings through the wilderness into the promised land. It teaches us the covenant, the Most High's covenant. The central theme of the entire Bible is the covenant of the Most High, and the importance of obeying that covenant. Praise the Most High Yah. It teaches us statutes and judgments, which are related to the covenant itself, to guide us in the way we should go. And it also points us, of course, to Mashiach Yahushua, who is the living example of the covenant, the living example of the word. And in pointing us to Mashiach Yahushua, it points us to the most important doctrine in the Bible that leads us to obedience to the covenant. What is the most important doctrine that leads us to obedience to the covenant? It gives us power to obey the covenant. It causes us to overcome all our sin. What is the teaching or doctrine of this book, of this holy book, the Bible, that teaches us how to overcome sin, that teaches us how to become holy, that teaches us how to keep covenant with the Most High Yah? And we get this doctrine through the life. That's right. Thank you. Akath Parayah, Patak. That is Yah's fruitful daughter of boldness. Parayah Patak. Thank you. That is absolutely true. Justification through faith in the Messiah, the Mashiach Yahushua. Justification by faith. Well, as we've been studying the book of the law, we have been seeing how the New Testament throws the light of justification by faith over the whole Bible, and especially over this book, the book of Deuteronomy. These be the words. It throws it over this book. See, this is the object of justification by faith. Let me explain again for all of our listeners and for all the people here. This cannot be overstated. It cannot be overtaught. It cannot be said too much. It cannot, because brothers and sisters, if I had something to give you that would give you eternal life, that would cause you to overcome all your sin, that would cause you to be able to deal with anything that Asatan can throw at you, that would cause you to be able to stand firm regardless of the opposition, regardless of the situation. If I was able to give you something like that, don't you think it's important that that thing be repeated, that that be taught, that that be given to you, to people as much as possible? Isn't that true? I mean, that would be very important, and that's what it is. It's very important. This is why I keep repeating that to you. But the doctrine of justification by faith, brothers and sisters, is the doctrine whereby the Messiah's sacrifice for sin, in which all of the lambs, goats, and cattle and heifers of the Old Testament, of which all of the obedience that the Most High is demanding of people in this book of the law. Keep my commandments, he says. Keep my statutes, my judgments. Keep my laws and live. Choose this day what you will serve. You're going to serve me. Keep my judgments and statutes. And that is telling you, you need the spirit of righteousness. You see, brothers and sisters, the Bible says that the Messiah is righteous. His Father is righteous. The laws of the Most High, his covenant, are righteous. The spirit of righteousness is what leads everything else. When the Bible says the fruit of the Spirit are these. Remember, it says the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians chapter 3, I believe. Galatians chapter 3. No. It's Galatians. Let me find it here. Galatians chapter 5. Find it here. Galatians chapter 5. Yeah. Galatians chapter 5. We're going to read from Galatians 5. And I'm going to start at a place where people try to twist the word, because I want to get that out the way right off the bat. Galatians chapter 5. I'm going to read from verse, let's see. Going to read from verse 16. Going to read from verse 16 down to verse 25 of Galatians chapter 5. And remember now, when we're talking about the Spirit of the Most High, we're talking about a spirit of righteousness and holiness. That's what the Spirit is. It is his Spirit. It is him, his Spirit, the essence of what is him in the character, and in spirit of righteousness and holiness. And so it includes all of these things. Notice what it says. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now, the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, sedition, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I told you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Messiahs have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If you live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. So when you're in the spirit of righteousness, all of these things, I heard this one dude, he's just caught up in this love thing. Because you see, these Christian churches talk about love, and the love they talk about is this vacillating, weak thing that just causes you to just fall over backwards for everybody. It's just kind of ridiculous. It's really almost homosexual in its effeminate. You know, that's the kind of love they talk about in these Christian churches. But that is not what the Most High is dealing with. The most important thing, brothers and sisters, is righteousness. And in the spirit of righteousness, love comes. It comes in with joy and peace and long suffering and all the things that come in the spirit of righteousness. Righteousness is the main thing. That's why Yahweh Shai is called Yahweh, our righteousness. He's a representation of the Most High's righteousness. And here, where the people say, walk in the Spirit, and you are not under, if you be led of the Spirit, you're not under the law. What the people try to use that to try to claim there's no law. But if you read just the next verse, it says that the works of the flesh are manifest, and the first thing it says is adultery. Wait, is adultery part of is adultery like it does not the Bible says does not the covenant say thou shalt not commit adultery? So if it's doing away with the law, how does the next thing tell you not to have adultery, right? So it's not talking about doing away with the law. It's not talking about that. What is it saying then? It says when it says you're not under the law. Again, let me just make this very plain so that when y'all hear people say this foolishness and these devils out here talking this foolishness, you can know what to say, okay? This is what it means when it says you are not under the law. What it means is you are not under the condemnation of the law. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? That's what he's saying. You are not under the condemnation of the law. That means that all of us that have sinned are under the death penalty. And when you are walking in the spirit of righteousness, you are no longer under the death penalty, because Messiah has taken the spirit of sin off of you and put it in the holy place, the most holy place of the heavenly sanctuary through his sacrifice. And now in place of that spirit of rebellion comes the spirit of righteousness from your Father. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? See, this is one of them verses that the Christians try to use to try to say there's no law. As I say, they worship a different God than we worship because their God tells them that they could be effeminate and call it love. It's not. And that there's no law for them to follow, which is why you find all kinds of perversions within their ranks. But there's none of that in the camp of Yasharal, because if you obey the righteousness of the Most High Yah, the Bible says he will keep you. The fruit of the Spirit is love, right? Joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Then he says, if you are Messiahs, you crucified the flesh. This used to confuse me when I was a Christian. That's why I'm so adamant about it now. It used to confuse me because it said, well, how do you crucify the flesh? How do you do that? That's why I didn't understand. How do you do that? But this is how you do it, brothers and sisters, by you walking in the spirit of righteousness, you crucify the flesh. You know why? Because the spirit of righteousness is completely opposite to the spirit of sin. The spirit of sin is a spirit that naturally dwells within our lives, in our hearts, in our spirit. It naturally dwells within us. It's naturally for us to sin. It's natural for us to do that. Because we have been born in sin and shaped in iniquity, right? All have sinned. So it's natural for us to sin. The spirit of righteousness goes against that nature. So when you receive the spirit of righteousness of the Most High Yah, you are crucifying the flesh. Does that make sense? Is that, and you see how simple that is? You see how simple that is? And I was so confused because the Christian church used to make it confusing because they don't know what they're talking about. Because they try to make up their own doctrines for their God. They're white Jesus, but we're talking about the Most High and his word. So now, when you are Messiahs, you are wearing a spirit of righteousness, and that crucifies the flesh. And that's why I said, if you live in the spirit, walk in the spirit. That means every day you put on that coat. The coat of righteousness, you put it on every day. How do you put it on? You put it on by going to your father and asking him for it. You go to your father and you ask him for it. And you ask him for it, and he has to take something from you in order to give that to you. What does he have to take from you in order to give you the righteousness? He has to take sin from you. You have to relinquish your right to sin. It's not that you sin when you woke up in the morning. You may not have sinned, but you relinquish your right to sin because you have a choice to make, and I have a choice to make every day. And we have a right to make a choice. You understand that? Testing 1, 2, 3. You have a right to make a choice every day. And when you get up and you get on your knees to your Father in heaven, when you're asking for his righteousness, you are giving up your right to sin. That's what you're doing. You're giving it up. You're giving up your right to sin. You're giving up your right to your way of life, to your nature. You're giving that up and you're taking on a divine nature. And he gave it to you. That's what it means to walk in the spirit. That's what it means. Because now you're not walking in your spirit anymore. You're walking in the spirit of righteousness from your Father in the name of the Messiah, Yahweh Shah. I want to make sure that's clear because, brothers and sisters, this is the key right here. So when we read in the book of the law, when we read in these be the words, and it keeps telling us, keep my commandments, keep my statutes and judgments, it's telling you, walk in the spirit. That's what it's saying. You have to understand that. Walk in the spirit. See, too many ox and accounts try to read this stuff and think that you're just going to decide to keep the commandments and that you just do that without even, that you could just do it. And look, if it was that you could just do it with no help from the Spirit of the Most High, with no power, well, we wouldn't need Yahweh Shah. We wouldn't need him. We wouldn't need the Father either. We could just decide to do it. It'd be like Nike, just do it, right? But it ain't like that. You need a different spirit. Because all of us have sinned. You need a different spirit. You see, brothers and sisters, let me just break this a little bit down for you like this. Adam, that black man that he first made, Adam, right? It was his nature at his creation. It was his nature to walk in righteousness. There was no sin in Adam. When he was created, his nature was divine. It was just given to him. Like, that's why he's this. When you read the genealogy of Mashiach Yahweh Shai, and it says Matthew was the son of God. That's exactly what it says. Matthew was the son of Yah. And he was, not Matthew, it's in Matthew. Adam was the son of Yah. Adam was the son of Yah, right? And it's in Luke also. It's Luke I'm talking about as well as Matthew. Luke and they go in different directions. But Luke chapter 3, and chapter 3 ends with, in verse 38, which was the son of Enos, which was the son of Sath, which was the son of Adam, which was the son of Yahweh. That's Luke 3:38. It ends like that. So here, Messiah is the son of Yahweh, and Adam is the son of Yahweh, which is why Messiah is called the second Adam, because both of them have the same father. You understand? That's why last week we said Joseph is not the father. See, Adam's the son of Elohim. That's right. And so is Yahushua, the son of Elohim. Now, and both of them have this in common. There is their nature not to sin. Divine nature was given to both of them. It's their nature not to sin. Okay? Adam had that, but then he went against his nature to take of the tree for his wife's sake. He went against his nature to take of the tree. And when he took of it, his nature changed. And that's why the scripture said, through one man, sin entered the world and death by sin. But here comes the second Adam, who is also of divine nature, whose nature is not to sin, and he did not sin. And then he paid the penalty that the first Adam should have paid immediately. Second Adam paid that penalty of death, having not sinned. Okay? So that through him, through one man's obedience, many could be made righteous, the Bible says. Through one man's disobedience, many were made sinners. Through one man's obedience, many were made righteous. That's for your first Adam and your second Adam. Okay? So our father Adam, when he first was created, he had to go against his nature to sin. It was against his nature. That he had to fight his nature, and it was his love for his wife. You see, it was because of his wife. That's why the Bible says he wasn't deceived. She was deceived. Adam was not deceived. So he was eating that fruit, knowing full well what he was doing, but he wanted to say it was for his wife's sake. See? So he went against his nature. So that now for us, it's natural for us, because now when he went against his nature and he sinned against the commandments of Yah, that was rebellion. Now rebellious spirit was in all of his children, including me and you. And because of that, Mashiach Yahushua came and he takes the sin off of his people. And he replaces it with the same spirit of righteousness that was on Adam. The same spirit of righteousness of which he himself was born. The spirit that comes from our Father and his God and our God. Right? Same spirit. And that causes us to keep the commandments of Yah. That's why it's such an offense. It's such an affront. It's such a disrespect to the Most High Yah for somebody to claim that his law is done away with. Righteousness. It is so ridiculous, brothers and sisters. That's why I spend much time on the central theme of justification by faith. And so when you have that, that's what the whole New Testament is about in terms of the letters of Shaul and the letters and the apostles, the doctrine of the Gospels. It is about justification by faith. And it's first to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. To the Jew first. Why? Because to them was given the oracles of Yah. He kept covenant with the nation of Israel. His promise to Abraham, Isaac, Yaashak, and Yaakov, otherwise known as Yasha'al, is going to be fulfilled. He's going to have his people. Okay, praise the Most High. So now, that is why when we look at the book Deuteronomy, and we look at the book, and we look at the words that we're reading here in chapter 23, and in other places, you have to understand, again, I just want to make this point, is talking through Moses as the intercessor, and Moses is a type of Mashiach in this regard. Moses is not the Mashiach. He's a type of Mashiach because he's the intercessor between the Most High Yah and the people of his nation, right? The Mashiach Yahushua is the same. He's the intercessor, but he is the intercessor without sin. He is the one that causes us to be justified. He is the one that causes us to inherit eternal life. Moses cannot give us eternal life, but Mashiach Yahushua can. I want to make sure that's distinctive. But Moses is a type of Messiah, and he is interceding for the people, and the Most High is teaching the people and what they're going to do as they go into the land. He's making provision for them, so when they get kicked, if they get kicked out the land, he's telling them about that too. He's telling them about what's going to happen at the end after they get kicked out the land where we live, and he's telling them about the future, and he's telling them all of that. But he's preparing them to enter the land. And this is the thing I like to point out. It's an object lesson because it's prepared as we study the scripture, as we look at the law of the Most High, as we study these books like Deuteronomy, we have to understand we are being prepared by the Most High himself to enter the promised land. You see, brothers and sisters, you can't just skip into heaven from the earth. I mean, like, just as you are. You know, I know there's a song out there, just as I am without one plea, that the Christians like to sing, but look, you have to be prepared to enter the kingdom, okay? You have to prepare, just like the children of Israel, as you study their history, they had to have a preparation to enter the promised land, from which most of them wasn't even prepared. That's why they didn't get in. You remember that, right? So they could have gotten, it was about 10 days journey from on foot from Mizraim or Egypt into the promised land, about 10 days journey, right? But it took them 40 years to do 10 days journey. Why? Because they weren't prepared. They weren't spiritually prepared, nor did they want to enter into the preparation necessary to get into the land. Okay? And it's the same thing today. Many people are looking for some sort of shortcut. There's no shortcut, brothers and sisters. I want to tell you straight up, this is hard, man. I mean, you get righteousness to get through this battle. You get righteousness, but the thing that you to get through your problems and my problems of patience, right? Patience and faith, and you know, it's not easy, man. It's a struggle. Now, each point you can win the battle through prayer and faith in the spirit of righteousness. You can win the battle, and you will win at each point. The Most High promises that. But don't think there's no preparation, man. Don't think you're just going to skip into heaven and you're going to just be just as you are. You have to be prepared in righteousness and holiness and truth. This is the problem with the fake religions like Christianity. They make people think that your salvation is so instantaneous that you just walk into heaven just as you are. Brothers and sisters, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people on Judgment Day. Going to be a lot of disappointed people. That's why Messiah said, there are going to be many, he said many that say to me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not done X, Y, and Z? And he's going to say, depart, I never knew you. Depart from me. Many are going to be surprised. Especially a lot of Christians going to be totally shocked that they're not getting it. And that's why he's going to say, there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. A lot of people. It's serious business. And one of the reasons is because there's this watered down, vacillating doctrine that they push. It's causing the people to be, and this is the thing that really eats at me, almost more than anything else, I have to say, that the people are being put to sleep in a way that not only misrepresents the Father, but causes them to be woefully unprepared to get into the kingdom, woefully unprepared to walk into those gates. Okay, exactly. There's no denomination and there's no pastor that's anybody's ticket to heaven. You know what the scriptures say, right? Though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in the land, they could only deliver but their own souls by their righteousness. Huh? Listen here, brothers and sisters. We can walk into the kingdom as we're wearing righteousness. That is the guarantee. That is the guarantee. That's the guarantee right there. That's the thing that will get you in. That's the thing. It is the righteousness of the Most High Yah that will get you in. And if you're wearing that righteousness, you in. Don't make no mistake about it. But I want you to understand, it's a day-by-day choice. You know, and that's why the former winos and the former drug addicts, they understand that. Because they understand if you ask a wino that and I say wino, but I mean, you know, alcoholic. We used to call them, when we was growing up, we used to call them winos, but you know what I'm saying? The alcoholic, if you ask the alcoholic, the recovering alcoholic, let me put it properly. If you ask the recovering alcoholic, are you still out? He'll still say he's an alcoholic, even if he ain't drank in 20 years. I'm an alcoholic. He said, and I'm just one drink away from falling, because they will tell you each day they have to make a choice. Now the choice gets stronger as years go by. It gets stronger, but they don't remember. They don't forget from whence they came. They don't forget that they could fall. That's what keeps them strong. You understand? They don't forget they can fall. It's the same with us. Righteousness, the wearing of the Most High's righteousness, is a day-by-day choice. You have to choose that. See? You can't take his righteousness for granted. You can't take it for granted, because if you take it for granted, you're setting yourself up to fall. You understand? You're setting yourself up to fall. Okay, but he will keep you from falling. That's what about now unto him that's able to keep you from falling. That's the truth of the word. And to present you faultless. That's what it said. Keep you from falling. That's the book of Jude. Keep you from falling and present you faultless. I believe it's verse 24. And so he's able to do that as we choose him on a day-by-day basis. So we can have victory every day. There's no question. As a matter of fact, he's expecting us to have victory every day. He is. But that's a choice we have to make. Okay? On a daily basis. It's a choice we have to make. Right? And so, yes, every day we get tested. Every day we get, Bible says we're tested every day and tried every moment. That's what it said. We have to. It's to perfect us to walk into the kingdom. See? That's why if you're going to be alive, see, this is the thing. So a lot of us, he's going to put to rest to save us. He does that. He's going to put to rest. That's why we don't worry about death, man. You know, really, seriously, it's natural to want to live. It's something the Most High puts in you. You know, your heart just keeps beating. You want to live. Everything wants to live. But when you are living in the spirit and walking in the spirit, you know, it's supernatural. You don't worry about death anymore. You don't. Because if he puts you to rest, it's his wisdom. And if he's going to save you, praise the Most High, you can walk into the kingdom. Once you eat of the fruit of the tree of life, you ain't worried about death no more. Right? So our Satan can't mess with you with that. But if you're going to be alive, when Messiah Yahweh shows up, if you're going to be one of those that don't taste the death, you better be walking in righteousness every day so that he can give you that righteousness and it'll be yours forever. You need to make that choice every day for real. And you will never take it for granted. It's like you shouldn't take for granted the ability to breathe. You shouldn't take for granted the ability to breathe. Because if you stop breathing, man, you're over, right? You're done. I tell people the most important things in terms of earth is in this order: air, water, and food. Right? You can live weeks. You can live 4, 5, 6 weeks without food. Right? You can live, they say about 2 weeks without water. But you could only live a few minutes without air, at best. You can only live a few minutes without air. A couple minutes. That's it. You don't get air in a couple minutes, you're done. Right? And so you don't neglect you don't neglect the fact that you have to breathe. Praise the Most High Yah. You don't neglect, fresh water. And of course, you don't neglect food. Well, it's the same thing. We do not neglect the righteousness of Yah that he offers us to overcome all our sin and to be, and not only overcome all our sin, but to give him honor and glory in our obedience to the covenant. Because that, like I said it before, and the Most High had me say it last year, I'm going to say it again. The only reason we are on this planet is to give honor and glory to our Father in heaven. And the more honor and glory we give to our Father in heaven, the more full our life will be. That's why Messiah said, I came that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly. Most people that don't understand that think that, I heard some fool fat pastor stand up one day and talk about, I'm working 3 jobs, so I'm living the abundant life. I mean, what? I sat in my chair, I sat my pew in that dead church, and I said, what? For real? No, the abundant life, brothers and sisters, for real, is the life that is lived in the spirit of righteousness for the glory of Yah. That is the abundant life, man. And the more you are living for his honor and glory, the more abundant your life is. That's the truth about it. That's the truth about it. And the reason that fat pastor couldn't say it, because he didn't know nothing about it. And that's the problem with some of these Christian pastors. They speak about things they have no knowledge of. See, brothers and sisters, you have to have a personal experience with these things. And when you do, when somebody speaks something that doesn't make, it's like if you know somebody really well and somebody speaks ill of your friend that you know really well, it offends you. You know what I'm saying? It offends you. You be like, what? No, don't be talking about so-and-so like, that's my friend, man. I know them. You can't say nothing about him like that. It offends you. So when somebody misrepresents the word of the Most High under some fake guys, oh, it bothers me, man. It bothers me because those things I know about from my own experience, you see. And so that's why it bothers me so much. If I didn't know about it, it wouldn't bother me. Okay, maybe that's why I didn't bother a lot of people in that church that day. But it bothered me. I was like, walking 3 jobs is the abundant life for real? Seriously. I was like, oh my goodness, I was too through. But I'm telling you, that's the abundant life. The only reason we're on this planet is to give honor and glory to the Most High Yah. Don't you realize that is why Messiah in his whole life, he kept one theme. It's my Father's glory. This is not my will, but your will be done. I didn't come to do my will, but my Father. I'm not teaching my words, but my Father's words. I'm only doing what my Father taught me. Everything he said and did was for the glory of his Father. And that's the only reason we're on the planet, man. And so when you and I are seeking the righteousness of Yah, we are seeking to give him glory, because when we are obedient to his laws, statutes, and commandments, we are bringing him the highest level of glory that we can be in. That's why Messiah said, if you love me, keep my commandments. As I have kept my Father's commandments, you keep my commandments. Exactly. Bringing glory to Yah. And you can't bring him no more glory than if you do what he says. See what I'm saying? You know, people, you don't have to make up your own way to give him glory. You know, somebody stand up looking for a record deal, talking about they giving glory to God, right? And they really want the record deal. I've seen that too many times. You know, these people stand up to sing, right? Please pray for me. I'm getting ready to sing for God. I want to give glory. And they know they're looking for the record deal. And the minute they get the record deal, they out of whatever church they were singing in. Happens too many times. That script's been read over and over again. But the point is, brothers and sisters, when you're really looking to give honor and glory to the Father, you're looking to give him honor and glory in obedience to his commandments. That's it. Obedience to his commandments. That's how you give him honor and glory. By walking in his spirit and letting all those attributes, love and joy and peace, all them attributes come upon you in his spirit of righteousness. That's what you giving him the most glory. And it doesn't matter what your occupation is. Doesn't matter where on the earth you live, whether you live in the country, whether you live in the city, or wherever you are. When you are seeking to wear his righteousness, you're giving him honor and glory. Praise the Most High Yah. So that's why I bring this up again, because as we're studying Deuteronomy, we were talking about last week, and it was talking about a bastard, and it was talking about Ammonites and Moabites, and it was talking about, you know, Balaam, and all of this it was pointing us to the perfection of the Messiah. Right, we're talking about that, the perfection of the Messiah, and how we are called to be without blemish, not because we are born a midget, or we're born you know, a bastard or whatever, but because of his spirit of righteousness, we are being perfected. And the first thing he perfects in us is our mind. That's where it starts. He's going to make everything new. See, this earth and everything in it is going to be made over. It's going to be made new. Okay, he's not putting the new Jerusalem on an old earth. He's putting the new Jerusalem on a new earth. That's what he said, in a new heaven and a new earth. And he's not going to put old people in the new Jerusalem. He's putting new people in the new Jerusalem with new minds and new bodies. So he starts off with the most important part. It's the mind. It starts in the brain. Okay, everything starts with the brain. Okay. Everything starts in the brain. So your brain is your mind. That's where the spirit talks to you. That's where you make decisions. Everything starts there. Okay. That is why Asatan tries everything he can between pressure and, you know, oppression and unjust stuff and all kinds of things going on in society, and drugs and even legal drugs and pharmaceuticals and alcohol and television and music. He tries everything to not only occupy, but to take over your mind and my mind. Everything. Okay? He's got all of these so-called preachers out here, and they are learned. Believe me, I know, because I went through it myself. They are learned in hypnosis. They are learned in hypnosis. And they're all trained to hypnotize crowds, to hypnotize. You know, the politicians are very good at it. The politicians are very good at it. Lots of politicians are good at it. Barack Obama was good at it, and so was George Bush, and so was Mitt Romney, and so was Bill Clinton. Is very good at it. Hypnotizing, very good at it. Very good at it. But none of them could do it like some of these preachers could do it. The preachers are the top notch. Preachers are the top-notch hypnosis wizards. The Asatan is doing everything to control and occupy and mess up your mind. Okay, everything he can from 1,000 different angles. One human being that puts all of their trust in the word of the Most High alone, of his spirit of righteousness, will overcome all that. All that will bounce off of you like bullets off of Superman. You understand what I'm saying? It will bounce off of you like bullets off of Superman when you are covered in his righteousness and you trusting in his word alone. And that is why if you've noticed, maybe you've tried this, if somebody come to you with some other than the word and you say, I just want the word, they get all upset at you. You ever notice that? They get all upset. They start arguing with you. They start debating with you. You know, you start saying, no, I don't want nothing to do with your religion or your church or your books or whatever. I want the word alone, just the word, Bible only. They start tripping. Why? Because that's Asatan. Because he knows that if you are trusted in the word of the Most High alone, and you are receiving of his spirit in the name of the Messiah, Yahushua, you are impenetrable. And then it's just like I said earlier, it's just a matter of choice now. See, it's just a matter of choice, day by day. Will you choose to give up your right to sin? Will you choose to walk in his spirit? You make that choice every day by day, you will overcome all. And whatever he asks you to do, you'll be able to do it. Most High don't give you a commandment without equipping you with the necessary tools for you to perform what he's telling you to do. He doesn't give you he doesn't tell you to go run 100 meters in under 9 seconds unless he's equipped you to do that. You understand? Okay? So every time he tells you to command you to do something, he's going to equip you to do it. He's not going to just leave you alone out there in your weakness and say, perform this. That'd be mean. He's not going to do that. He's not no politician telling you pick yourself up from your bootstraps after they done ripped you off from all your money, after they done ripped you off and put all kind of things on you and telling you pick you up by your bootstraps. That's not the Most High, y'all. No. When he tells you to do something, he's giving you power to do it. So whenever you see a command, what you need to understand, go through your mind is, okay, where's the power to do this? Well, you know it's in his spirit of righteousness. You know it's in his promises, it's in his word, it's in faith. You know that. That's right. Praise the Most High Yah. He provides, he sees. Yahweh Yireh, right? That's what Ishmael's mother said, right? Hagar, Yahweh Yireh. That's what she said. Yahweh who sees me, because he sees everything, he knows everything, and he provides. He's the Alpha and Omega. Bible says he said the Messiah got 7 eyes, not literally, but he sees everything. He knows everything. You can't hide nothing from him. You can hide it from me. I can hide from you, but none of us can hide from him. Praise the Most High, yeah. So now I wanted to bring all that out. We look into today, because today in Adabarim, and these be the words, as we're looking at today, the focus today, last week we were talking about holiness and righteousness. Today is cleanliness and righteousness. See, brothers and sisters, there was cleanliness in the camp of the Israelites. They weren't just living any kind of way. Even in the desert, they were being clean. Okay, they were being clean even in the desert. And that's why, they said like the Indians that were in the Americas first, they didn't suffer from a lot of diseases until the people came on them ships. Them pilgrims came on them ships and they brought diseases with them. They say a lot of the Indians and most of the pilgrims died mostly from disease than anything else, because they weren't very clean when they came over. They weren't clean people. Now, praise the Most High, we got indoor plumbing now, and we got running water, and we got, the ability to take baths every day. Praise the Most High, and we can be clean. That's a blessing. Because when they first came here, when they had that first Thanksgiving, they didn't kill the Indians by slaughtering them. They killed them with their disease, because a lot of them were dying from disease. And that disease in large part comes from uncleanness, being unclean, but not clean. So here, the Most High told the Israelite nation that they should not be one feeble person among the tribe. And one of the reasons for that is they kept his commandments with regard to cleanness. Let's look at this in Deuteronomy chapter 23. I'm going to start at verse, let's start at verse, we left off at verse 6, but I'm going to start at verse 5 and go and read down to verse, read down to verse 8, from verse 5 to 8, Deuteronomy chapter 23 from verse 5 to 8. Notice what it says. Nevertheless, Yahweh thy Elohim would not hearken unto Balaam, but Yahweh thy Elohim turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because Yahweh thy Elohim loved thee. Thou shalt not seek their peace, nor their prosperity all thy days forever. Thou shalt not abhor the Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of Yahweh in the third generation. Let's stop right here. Let's talk about this for a minute. So Balaam was of the same faith as the Israelites. He worshiped the Most High Yah. He had been a prophet of Yah. Yah was talking to him. Yah don't just talk to everybody like that, not like that. But Balaam was using his relationship and the power that he got from Yah, the gift that he got to bring glory to Yah. He was trying to parlay that gift into money and favor with a sinner. Let me say it again. So Balaam was trying to parlay the gift of the Spirit that Yah gave him into money and favor with the sinner. That is something we should be very cognizant of today, because it happens all the time. People get a gift and they're trying to see how could they enrich themselves and make themselves famous with the gift. Am I lying, or is that the truth? Right? Am I telling the truth? I mean, that's what people do, right? So they get a gift, the Yah gives them a gift, and they try to see how can I turn this gift into money and fame. Those are two things, really. Money and fame, or money, power, and fame, right? Money, power, and fame. How can I turn this gift into that? And then how can I get the masses to love me? How can I get favor with the people of the world that run this world? People, you meet somebody that's so-called famous and they come running. Oh, I just saw Denzel. Oh, I just saw Beyonce. Oh, I just saw whatever. Oh, I saw Brad Pitt at the mall. I mean, really? Really? Beyonce, Brad Pitt, Denzel, they got to squat on the toilet and defecate just like you do. They got to take their pants down, squat on the toilet every day, and take that stink out them just like you do. They don't, there's no difference, right? Right? But because they have some gift, whatever their gift might be, people start tripping because they're famous, they're rich, they're powerful. Because we are used to worshiping people, and we are used to worshiping people. The Asatan puts people on platforms. That's what he said. He offered it to Mashiach, didn't he? He took him, he said, I'll give you all this if you worship me. He said, I'll give you all this if you worship me. See all these glories of this king? I'll give you all that if you worship. Right? Well, you think Mashiach Yahushua was the first or the last? Asatan offered that too? No. He offers it every day to people. People take it. When you see all these people that's rich and famous, don't think they just got rich and famous because of their talent. Let me tell you something. Let me just show you just a little example of that. Where I grew up, and I'm sure a lot of brothers, a lot of oxen give you the same testimony. There were many athletes. I mean, tremendous athletes. I mean, athletes that'll make the ones that you see on television look bad because they were just that good, that talented from the Most High. And you never see them on television. You never see them make it for whatever reason, drugs, alcohol, women, or whatever, or maybe they decide they didn't want it. You never see them. So not everybody that's when you see these athletes, they're making tens of millions of dollars, that doesn't mean necessarily that they're the only ones out there. But they decided they wanted to capitalize on their athletic ability with riches and fame and power. Okay? That's what happens. That's just typical. Same thing, people like to sing, dance, rap, whatever, entertainment in general, and then, any gift people they try to do. Now, that's the worldly way. And Balaam did the same thing. And especially this is a danger when it comes to the gift of the Spirit. The Most High Spirit cannot be bought and it cannot be sold. And so when somebody try to capitalize on the gift of the Spirit, they are now changing sides and working for Asatan. So Balaam went from a prophet to a psychic. Okay? He went from a prophet to a psychic. A prophet, if you look up the word prophet in the Hebrew, it's an inspired person. That means it's an implication inspired by the Most High Yah. A psychic is a person that has been given gifts of the spirit of Asatan. Asatan's spirit. That's a different spirit. Okay? And so when people try to turn in a gift for money, yeah, that's a classic sellout. Classic sellout. Balaam is an original sellout. An original sellout. Okay? And so he tried to curse the Most High's people for money. Of course, the Most High not only did not curse the people, and then he counseled, the Bible says he counseled Balak. The Bible said it was his counsel that caused Balak to send the beautiful women from Moab into the camp of the Israelites, causing the men not only to fornicate with those harlots, but also to worship their gods. Also to worship their gods. Okay, it was Balaam's counsel. The Bible says, that's why the Bible says Moses told the Most High said, I want you to do one more thing before you die. Because he told Moses, you're not going in the land now because you didn't sanctify me before the people. So you're not going in the land. But before you die, I want you to take care of this one thing. He said, I want you to take care of this one thing before you die. I want you to avenge me on Midianites. I want you to avenge me of the Midianites. And he said, I don't want none of them left. And then you're going to die. That's really one of the last commands he gave Moses. He said, I want you to go down to Midian and I want you to destroy them. I want you to destroy them. Don't leave any of them. He said, don't leave any of them. Right? So Moses said, okay. Of course, Moses obeyed, and he went and he had his people go destroy the Midianites. Now, the people decided to take of the Midianites. They took the gold, the silver, the cattle. They took all that from the Midianites, but they took the women. They took of the women for themselves, and that was not uncommon. The Bible we read here in Deuteronomy, it is not uncommon for them to take women, but this was different because Moses said, and this is Numbers chapter 31. Notice what it said, Numbers chapter 30. And this sounds harsh, but this is a sign of judgment. That's why I want you all to remember. In judgment, there's going to be no mercy in judgment. See, the mercy is now. People need to understand the mercy out there, the Most High is offering now. But there's a time coming when the mercy is going to run out. People don't want to hear that, but that's the truth about it. And when the mercy runs out, the hammer is going to drop. It ain't coming back. It's coming down to crush. So notice what it said in Numbers chapter 31. Now is the time of mercy. Notice they came back and they kept the woman, right? So Numbers chapter 31, Moses is mad. Numbers 31, I'm going to read, let's see. I'm going to read from verse 9. I'm going to read from verse 9 down to verse 16. Actually down to verse 17. No, I'm reading from verse 9 to verse 18. I'm sorry, Akath. From verse 9 to verse 18. And the children of Yasharal took all the women of Midian captives and their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle and all their flocks and all their goods. And they burnt all their cities wherein they dwelt, and all the goodly castles with fire. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, both of men and of beasts. And they brought the captives and the prey and the spoil unto Moses and Eleazar the priests, and unto the congregation of the children of Yasharal, unto the camp at the plains of Moab, which are by Jordan near Jericho. Eleazar the priest and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet them without the camp. And Moses was wroth with the officers of the host, and with the captains over thousands, and the captains over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against Yahweh in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of Yahweh. Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have no man by lying with him. But all the women, children that have not known man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. See, now that sounds harsh, but that's the way war was. That's the way war is. Okay, and let me tell you something. When judgment falls, it's going to fall hard, brothers and sisters. Right now is a time of peace. People say, well, you know, that barbaric time is over. Well, first of all, people that think that people don't go out there killing like that today, there are believing lies of the media. Because if you in the Middle East, in the nations of Africa where there's war going on right now. People, men, women, and children are being slaughtered right now as I'm talking to you right now. Okay. And all of these in these countries where a person, a journalist, or somebody speaks out against the government. See, you could do that here in America, and pretty much they won't kill you. Well, sometimes they'll kill you, but they won't kill you pretty much. But if you do it in some of these other countries, you dead right off the bat. Okay. And so there's men, women, and children being slaughtered right now. But I'm telling you, right now is still a time of mercy. As long as Yahushua is the high priest, he's offering mercy. He's offering mercy right now. And he's working to seal 144,000 right now. And as long as he's doing that, the whole earth got mercy. That's the deal. As long as he's doing that, you see, it still is the same. In thee, that is in the nation of Israel and the children of Abraham, shall all the people of the earth be blessed. It's still happening. Because as long as he's working with the 144,000, there's chance for everybody to be saved. There's chance for grace to be given. But when that's over, then it's over. And you can see Balaam counseled the king of Moab and told him to send the women down there. See, he was going to earn that money. King of Moab was offering him a house full of silver and gold. And he wanted that money, but he couldn't curse the people because the Most High wouldn't let him. So he said, okay, this is what you do, man. Send some women down there. They'll take care of the business for you. Let them just send the women down there. They destroy themselves with the women. 23,000 Israelites died. 23,000 Israelites died as a result of that. 23,000 of the nation. See? So brothers and sisters, Balaam. There's a lot of sellouts today. Watch for the sellouts. Okay? We don't do things for money. Okay? We don't do things for money in terms of spiritual gifts. Spiritual gifts are for the glory of the nation, for the building up of the nation. Isn't that what the Bible says? For the edification of the body of the Messiah, which is the nation. That's what the Bible says, right? The spiritual gifts are given for the building up of the nation. And it's not, you see, when people read that, of course, in Christian church, they read, they're thinking it's for the building up of their church. And some people think of it in a prideful way. That's so stupid. But no, it's for the glory of Yah in the building up of the body of the nation, the scattered people, the Israelite scattered nation of the earth. It's for their building up, for their encouragement, for their strengthening, for them overcoming sin. That's what the gifts of the Spirit are for. It's not for somebody to stand up and say, I got this huge ministry with 10 million people in it. I got 5 houses and 10 cars. That's of Asatan. That's not the Most High's people. They're not trying to stack up their presidents right now. Their presidents are dead, and you try to stack them up, you're going to be dead too. Okay, it's not about dead presidents. No. Our problem as the nation of Israel is not money. Our problem is spirit. Next time somebody tell you, especially, those of us that are the bloodline of Abraham, those of us that are of the nation of Israel, the so-called African Americans, the bloodline of Abraham. Next time some brother stands up and says, well, we have to enrich our community. We need economic power. We need to have economic power for our community. I know some of them mean well, but they way off base, brothers and sisters. Our problem is not with Federal Reserve notes. Now listen, our problem is not with Federal Reserve notes. Our problem is a lack of spirit of righteousness and holiness and truth. Really, that's our problem. That's the problem, man. If you had the Holy Ghost power and you are able to walk in the spirit and truth, you can, the Most High, there's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing he can't stop. He can, that can stop you in that scenario. There's nothing Asatan can do with you. See? So that the real issue is not economic prosperity. It's spirit of righteousness and holiness and truth, brothers and sisters. That's what it's about. And sometimes people get close to understanding that, and Asatan comes along trying to offer them fame. And some of them, unfortunately, too many of us have fallen for it. Too many of us have offer us beautiful women and money, and too many of us have fallen for that. I don't want to be one of those by the grace of the Most High. I'm skin and bone and blood and flesh like all of y'all. And that's why I always ask for brothers and sisters to keep me in prayer, because I'm called to be a teacher of the Most High Yah, but I understand I can fall like everybody else. And just like I'm telling you, the righteousness that I wear is a daily choice. a daily choice to wear righteousness, right? So we need to make that choice on a daily basis. All right, praise the Most High. Yeah. So Balaam sold out, and that's why the Most High said in verse 6 of Deuteronomy 23, thou shalt not seek their peace nor their prosperity forever. They tried to curse the Most High's people. I want you to understand, he takes very seriously any people that try to curse his people. Wait. I want you to understand the implication of what I just said. He takes very seriously any people that try to curse his people. He takes that very seriously. You can see that right here. Thou shalt, this is the Most High speaking. Thou shalt not seek their peace nor prosperity all thy days forever. He takes very seriously any people, and y'all can read between the lines. He takes very seriously any people that try to curse his people. Very seriously. Right? Then he says, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Wait a second. Now let me stop here for a minute. Now, let me talk about something real quick, man. Hold on. This is the scripture, right? This is the word of the Most High Yah, is it not? This is the book of the law, is it not? Okay. He said, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. So what about all them people talking about the Caucasian, the so-called white man is the Edomite? He said here, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Wait a minute, man. So either the Caucasian man is not the Edomite, or the Caucasian man is our brother. What is it? There you go. What's the question? What is it? Let me tell you. First off, from what I studied in the scriptures, okay, listen carefully. The persons that are called white, that are really Caucasian and Anglo-Saxon, when you study the scriptures, you look at Genesis chapter 10, they come from the third son of Noah, Japheth. There was Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And they come from Japheth. The Bible always calls them out in that order. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Look it up. It always calls them out now. People always overlook that. It calls them out in that order. Shem, Ham, Japheth. Shem, Ham, Japheth. Right? Okay. So these people, if you're of European descent, Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian, Germanic tribes, you're from Japheth. Where this whole Edomite thing come from, I don't know. But Edom was the twin brother of our father, Yaakov, who was named Yasha'al. The twin brother. And that brother, Edom, he rebelled against the Most High, but he could not be the Caucasian man unless, he changed over time, and that could happen, I guess. But Edom went and married 2 black women. And then he saw that they were Canaanites that displeased their family, so he went and married another black woman, an Ishmaelite. So if he was Caucasian, if he was an albino, because he'd have to be an albino, if he was an albino man, he married 3 women of color and had children with the 3. I think he had 12 sons or something like that. He had a lot of children. So you tell me, what happens when a Caucasian man has a bunch of babies with some women of color? Them babies, are they going to be Caucasian or are they going to be people of color? I mean, really. You understand? They might be mixed, but they're going to have color. That's the truth about it. That's right. They're going to be, yeah, right. So Edom could not be the Caucasian man. Now, I do understand this. When you read about Edom's hatred for Jacob in terms of the children of Edom and the children of Jacob, how they hated the children of Jacob. And the Bible gives you detailed accounts of that. That does, in how they conspired against the nation, that does give you it's like a object lesson of how the European man has treated the black man. Now that's what I can understand that. Okay. Spirit of how they have conspired against us, I get it. But as far as the flesh, they are not Edom in the flesh. They just not. So he's telling us that Edom, the Edomite, is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian because thou wast a stranger in his land. So he said that was the Egyptian's land, and y'all was a stranger in his land. He let you come in there with Joseph and his 70 souls, and Jacob and his 70 souls. He let you come down in there, and he gave you the land of Goshen. He let you come in there, right? You weren't taken in there in slavery. You became slaves when you got there, but you weren't taken as slaves to go down in there, right? So he let you come in his land. Now you can't equate that to anybody. Well, you can't equate it to the United States of America, because this is not their land. They took that from the Indians, didn't they? And they brought you over here in chains, didn't they? So you can't really say it's not the same thing, right? Not the same thing, really not. Really, that's not apples to apples, right? It's not apples to apples. Now, the people like in England, I mean, I'm sure if you go to England or Ireland or Russia, well, that's their land, right? That's been their land. That's been their land for thousands of years, right? So now if they let you stay in their land, now you don't abhor them because they let you stay in their land. That's their land. But this one here is a little different. Yeah, United States is a little different. They went and took this land from somebody. So anyway, that's a little different, right? Okay. But anyway, so, you was a stranger in his land, don't abhor him. You stayed in his land. That's why the Most High didn't have no beef with Egyptians. He used them as an object lesson. He punished Pharaoh. He destroyed their nation. He's using them for object lesson for the future deliverance of his people. But if you go ahead and you read the Egyptian, the Mizraim, the people of Mizraim and the people of Yasha'al had a lot of close relations. Many times, the people would go down into Mizraim's land trying to escape something. And as a matter of fact, we came through there after the Romans destroyed Jerusalem in 70 AD. We came running to Egypt and into Africa, right? We did that. So, yeah, they have a lot of close. And then, as you study real closely, there's Egyptians that came into the camp of the Israelites as well. Okay, as Hagar was an Egyptian, and her son Ishmael, who is a Semite and of Egyptian heritage as well. So, we're, and not only that, we look alike. We look alike. We're very close, because remember that Greek man looked at the Apostle Paul or Shaul and said, "Aren't you that Egyptian?" Right? Remember that? He looked at him and said, "Wait a minute, aren't you that Egyptian that caused all that trouble?" He said, "No, I'm not an Egyptian." He said, "I'm an Israelite. I'm a Hebrew." Oh, okay. He said, "Aren't you that Egyptian?" He looked at him because we look a lot alike. I mean, the original Egyptians. I'm not talking about the Egyptians that's there now. See, people look at the Egyptians that you see in Egypt today. Those are not ancient Egyptians, if you understand. Those are a result of the Alexander the Great, Roman and Mohammedan conquest of Egypt, which generally came from European descent. And so that's why you see them very light. But even really the original Egyptians in the south of Egypt today, whenever they're showing you stuff about Egypt, they never show you them. They don't want you to see them. That's the truth about it. There's a lot of racism there too. They don't want to admit that, but it's there. So they don't want you to see the original Egyptian. Okay. Yeah. See, that's the truth. I mean, I'm just telling you the way it is. So those are the real Egyptians. But they're now, just like us, they're pushed into a little section, and they're pushed back, and they're the most oppressed even in Egypt right now. So the Most High don't have no beef with the Egyptians. Okay, but they did have us in bondage, and he used them as an object lesson for those that would have us in bondage. So praise the Most High, and he used them as an object lesson in our deliverance. He says, "So don't abhor an Egyptian, because I was a stranger in his land." Notice he said certain people, like Balaam's people and people of the people of Moab and Edom, he said 10 generations, or they can't come into the congregation forever, but not with the Egyptian and the Edomite. He said they can enter into the 3rd generation. They can come into the congregation of Yahweh. That means if I have a child, my child has a child, now that child can enter into the congregation. My grandchild can enter into the congregation of Yahweh. He can be part of the nation. Praise the Most High. That's talking about the male. I want you to understand, when he's saying these things, he's talking about from the male perspective. A woman that comes in and marries an Israelite man and has children, that child is an Israelite from the jump. Okay, what he's dealing with here is the men. When a man comes and he's an Ammonite, a Moabite, an Egyptian, an Edomite, and he wants to enter the congregation, that's what these rules apply to. Okay, because once you have a child, and that reminds me, I need to bring this up. I got a couple of ox. I don't have a lot of them. But I got a couple of ox that I like to hear their criticism. I like them to, they don't like, one of them don't like me to use the word criticize, but I don't mind it. But I want to hear what they have to say about what I teach, because I like to hear, I'm learning too, and I want brothers to come at me and tell me, you know, where'd you get this, or how'd you come up with that, and maybe you're wrong on this. And I got some brothers that I trust. And the reason I have a select few is because there's different brothers out here. There's some out here that are agents that I don't trust because I think they're agents of the government. There's some out here that are just fanatical, and they're young and they're stupid and they haven't studied the Bible enough to be trying to show me anything. And then there's some that are just, you know, trying to make themselves sound smart. But there's some sincere ox out here that love the Most High Yah, that love His word. Is Hebrew for brother, and akath is Hebrew for sister. So ak is brother and akath is sister. Yeah, sorry about that. So there's some faithful Hebrew brothers, ox. Yeah. So some faithful ox that you know. So one of them contacted me last week after I did this lesson of chapter 23, and he's like, "Hey, wait a minute, I heard," because I told last week I explained to y'all how Rahab the harlot, Ruth the Moabite, became Israelites through marriage. They became Israelites, and their children was in the lineage of Mashiach Yahushua. Okay, you know, because Solomon got with the former harlot Rahab. She wasn't a harlot when she joined the nation. And then Ruth, the Moabitess, married Boaz, the man of Judah. And he had Obed, who had Jesse, who had David, and of course go down to the lineage of Mashiach Yahushua. So the brother said to me, wait a minute, I study, and I think, he said, I think Ruth was an Israelite woman. And he had this other brother, his name is Ka'azawan. Ka'azawan does some good studies. I don't agree with everything Ka'azawan says, but I don't have to. We all, like I said, we all going down the same path. We don't necessarily agree with everything. Ka'azawan is a Hebrew Israelite also, and I listened to some of his studies. Like I said, I agree with some of what he said. I don't agree with everything he said, but Ka'azawan did a study on Ruth, and he did a study on Rahab where he claims they're both Israelites. So I listened to the study. I listened to the whole study. I went back and studied the scriptures on it, and I disagree with him. And Ruth was a Moabite, and Rahab was a harlot that was married to Solomon, and did have the but I just wanted to mention that to y'all because I told I would that you know we had this discussion, and he came with that, and then we discussed it, and I was going back and forth with him on Marco Polo, and bouncing off each other and studying the scriptures, and we came to a general consensus as to why I believe, you know, Ruth was not an Israelite, but she was indeed a Moabitess of a strange land, of a strange people, and she became an Israelite. So when we're talking here in Deuteronomy 23, we're talking about men joining the congregation, because he doesn't deal with women like that. Women are different. So when a woman comes into the Israelite nation and she converts and she has children with an Israelite man, even if she's not an Israelite, that child is an Israelite, and they're Israelite from the start, okay? But if a man walks in and wants to be an Israelite, and according to this scripture, you know, there's certain provisions, okay, depending on where they're coming from. Now, Moab and Ammon don't even exist today. They've been wiped out, and their land has been taken over by the nation of Jordan, pretty much. Okay, they're Arabs. Yeah, they're Arabs. Moab, Ammon. They're Arabs. The people that are Arabs there. Yeah. But we know Mizraim, we just went into that. But this is talking about going into the land, the original land at the time. That's what we're dealing with here. Okay? I am not reading everything there, and maybe I don't. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's keep going. So now, let's continue. Verse 9. Deuteronomy chapter 23. I'm going to read from verse 9 down to verse 14. This is where we're talking about, yeah, through the mail. Yes, yeah, that's exactly right, through the mail. So now we're talking about verse 9. Verse 9. Yeah, so the woman, when she hooks up with an Israelite man and she's converted, her children are Israelites. But if a man wants to join the congregation of Yah, first of all, a man that's not an Israelite, you know, he shouldn't be marrying an Israelite woman, but, you know, she shouldn't be given to him in marriage. But if she did, and he's one of these people, his third generation can come in. That's what it says according to Egyptians and Edomites. But again, that's according to what they were dealing with going into the land at that time. Okay. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 23 from verse 9 to verse 14. When the host goeth forth against thy enemies, keep thee from every wicked thing. If there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness that chances him by night, then shall he go abroad out of the camp. He shall not come within the camp. But it shall be, when evening cometh on, he shall wash himself with water, and when the sun is down, he shall come into the camp again. Thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad, and thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon. And it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig wherewith, and thou shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from thee. For Yahweh thy Elohim walketh in the midst of thy camp, to deliver thee, and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, that he see no unclean thing in thee, and turn away from thee. Now let's stop right here again. So he's telling the children of Israel, we're going to go into these provisions he's talking about, but at the end of it, he says, why? Because he is in the midst of the camp. And the camp is set apart for him being in the midst of the camp. And because he's in the midst of the camp, you don't want any unclean thing in the camp. Okay? That's right. He only counts men in the Bible. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. See, I remember certain principles in the Bible. Women are not counted. Only men are counted. Yeah, he does not count women. Only counts the men. That's a Bible principle. So when he's talking about these things, he's talking about men. Okay? He's not talking about women. Women don't go forth to war, except in this modern age where they send women out here to get blown to bits. It's stupid, but that's another thing. Okay? But in the Bible, women did not go forth to war. The men went out to war. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay? And so he's dealing with men here. So now he's talking about cleanness. He's talking about cleanness and uncleanness. So when he talks about the host goeth forth against thine enemies, keep thee from every wicked thing. Now, what does that mean? Verse 9. We're talking about principles of righteousness. Today, when people go forth to war, we hear all kinds of heinous things they do. So, for example, when people go forth to war today, there's a lot of rapists that go out here. Some of these dudes use the opportunity to rape women. They go to war and they go into villages with poor people in third world countries or other countries where the United States is trying to push their will on people, and they rape women. The Most High is not into his men raping women. See, he said, keep thee from every wicked thing. You're not just killing just to kill. You're not just going out there for bloodthirstiness. You're not trying to rape women. You're doing what he's commanding you to do, but you stand in his commandments regardless of where you're at. You understand? Testing 1, 2, 3. Everybody with me so far? So even in war, where he's telling them, kill all the men and little children, the males, they're not going to be committing no rape. This is war now. War is different when he's talking about, and people get this confused, when he says, thou shalt not kill. War is different. When you're in war, people are going to get killed. That's not murder. When you're at war, there's two factions and they're warring, good and evil are warring, people are going to get killed. But he's talking about murder. When you kill somebody for your own selfish reasons, when you kill somebody that did not deserve to die by the law, they did nothing wrong to you, and you just killed them, that's murder. When you just have hatred in your heart for somebody, you just kill them, that's murder. Thou shalt not kill. That's what he's talking about. All right? But when he sent his people off to war, he said, when y'all get sent off to war against your enemies, don't do any wickedness. Okay? And there's some instances where he tells them even, don't even touch their silver or their gold. Burn all of it. So the object is to be obedient to the Most High Yah. Then he says, if there be among you any man that is not clean by reason of uncleanness that chances him by night. What is that? Well, some of y'all already know. Sometimes when especially a young man and he get filled with the testosterone, what happens to him at night sometimes? What happens to him at night sometimes? Y'all know, right? Sometimes certain thing happens to a man at night and he has to get up and clean himself, right? Yeah, like that. Right. Wow, okay, understand. So they call it today, the term they use is a wet dream. So man, that happens to a man, especially younger men, happens to them. And he says, this happens to you by night, get up, clean yourself, go outside the camp, clean yourself, right? And at the evening, you can come back. After you wash yourself up, you can come back. See, they didn't have showers. They didn't have showers and indoor plumbing like we have today. They had to go outside the camp. They'd probably go to a river or go to a lake or go some sort of body of water and wash themselves, right? Clean themselves up, get clean clothes, wash, and they stay out the camp until the evening, right? But we have showers and stuff. We can get up and wash ourselves, clean ourselves up right away. Praise the Most High Yah. But you see, the object, the principle here is cleanliness. You see that? The principle is cleanliness. Okay? Then he said, wherever they go, wherever they camp, they're going to set a place for them to deliver their, well, as my aunt used to say in Jamaica, move your bowels. When they're going to move their bowels or they're going to urinate, there's a place outside the camp that they would designate for that purpose. Now you're talking about over 1 million people. You're talking about 600,000 men for war, not including women and children. So you're talking about over 1 million people. So obviously there's going to be a lot of waste material. So they had to have sections set aside where people are supposed to go in sections of the camp. And each camp was divided by the tribes, and they had sections in the tribes. And each tribe was big. Like when you look at the numbers in the tribes, you're talking about tens of thousands of people in each tribe, right? So you had to have sections set aside where they knew they were going to use to relieve themselves, to move their bowels, defecate, urinate, whatever. And it says they're going to carry something with them. So when they relieve themselves, they're going to cover it up. They're not going to just leave it sitting out. They're going to cover it up. That's right, exactly. Well, yes, during the time of the month, ladies had a time of the month. The Bible makes provision for that. She's also going to be unclean, and she also has to clean herself and keep herself clean because of the blood that's coming. Exactly. Now, these are natural biological functions, but the Most High wants us to carry them out with cleanness as much as possible. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? That makes sense. So he says, so these natural biological functions, he's not telling you, he's not condemning us for having it. He made us. You have these natural biological functions, but he wants you to carry these things out with a cleanness, with an understanding that you're trying to be clean in everything that you do. Trying to be clean in everything that you do. Why? Because he walked in the camp. He walked in the camp to deliver them from their enemies. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you want him walking in your house? Do you want the Most High Yah spirit? Do you want his angels walking in your house? Do you want them to feel comfortable living in your home? Do you want the angels to feel comfortable staying next to your bed? Do you want that protection? Do you want his spirit there? Of course you do. So you want to keep your place clean. Praise the Most High Yah. You want to keep your place clean. Keep it clean. Keep yourself clean. Praise the Most High Yah. All right. All right. That's pretty straightforward, right? And he's telling, and the thing that I love about it is where he said in verse 14, for Yahweh thy Elohim walketh in the midst of thy camp to deliver thee and to give up thine enemies before thee. Therefore shall thy camp be holy, that he see no unclean thing in thee and turn away from thee. So it is possible for him to turn his head from you because you're being unclean, because you're being unsanitary, because you're being nasty. You're being nasty. It turn his head from you being nasty. But he wants you to be clean. He wants you to be sanitary. He wants you to be set apart. Praise the Most High Yah. Set apart. Praise the Most High. Okay? Praise the Most High Yah. Amen. So, so let's continue. Chapter 23. These be the words, chapter 23, from verse 15 and verse 16 of Deuteronomy chapter 23. Thou shalt not deliver, thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee. He shall dwell with thee, even among you, in that place which he shall choose in one of thy gates, where it liketh him best. Thou shalt not oppress him. All right, let's talk about this. A slave has escaped. Obviously, he's talking about from another nation. A slave has escaped, and he's running away from an oppressor. You're not supposed to turn him into his servant, to his master. You're supposed to let him stay with you. You're not supposed to oppress him. Now, why is that? Because why? Because the children of Israel were once slaves. They were once oppressed. Were they not? They were once slaves. They were once oppressed. So they understand that. And being of understanding that, they should not oppress an escaped slave because they also are escaped slaves from Pharaoh. Now, of course, in the United States of America, that operated a little bit different. In fact, that's what, originally, that's where you get your police force from. The original policemen that had badges and stuff, they were mercenaries that were looking for escaped slaves to bring them back into bondage. Yeah. And so there were some people in free states that would help slaves and hide slaves, or should I say escape slaves, like John Brown. John Brown was a Caucasian man that gave his life to help escape slaves. Okay, he really did. And he literally formed an army and was fighting against the slavers and is fighting against these mercenaries. And he ended up being hanged. John Brown was a real patriot. And so John Brown is an example. He was trying to fight to help free slaves. And so he exhibits this type of spirit that we're talking about right here, that the Most High is talking about right here. Thou shalt not oppress him. You let him dwell with you. Don't deliver him back to his master. He escaped from an oppressor. Don't put him back to the oppressor. Huh? Praise the Most High Yah. So there are people, I believe, that are going to be blessed to the Most High, like a John Brown, that really did try and gave his life to help escape slaves. Not many of them now. I don't want you to think that there's thousands of them. John Browns were few and far between, because if there was more John Browns, there wouldn't have been no slavery in America. Okay, that's the truth about it. But there are very few John Browns. But those people that were like him and those people like him, I believe, are blessed to the Most High Yah. Okay, because they fought for the people that was oppressed. Praise the Most High. So not all Caucasian people. I'm not. Ever anybody tell you that Brother Gabar Sadak said all Caucasian people are devils? That's a Nation of Islam doctrine. It's not a doctrine that I support. It's not a doctrine the Bible supports, because the Apostle Shaul was sent with the message of justification by faith to a whole bunch of European people, to a whole bunch of Caucasian people, for them to come into the nation through the Messiah. Okay, right? But that doesn't excuse the Caucasian man from what he has done to the people of Yah. Doesn't excuse him. He's going to have to pay for his crimes. There's no question about that. He's going to pay for his crimes that he has done against the chosen people. There's no question. But I'm just trying to keep it, as the Bible does, in a balance. You understand? Trying to keep it in a balance so we understand what the situation is in a balanced way. Praise the Most High Yah. Deuteronomy chapter 23. I'm chuckling because we get ready to get something else here. Praise the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17 and 18. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 23. You talk about Harriet Tubman, the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman. She was an Israelite. Yeah. She was an Israelite. Harriet Tubman. Yeah. Yeah, Harriet Tubman. Yeah, and Sojourner Truth. Yeah. Israelite sisters that was fighting for their people. Praise the Most High Yah. Okay, verse 17 and 18. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Yasha'al, nor a sodomite of the sons of Yasha'al. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of Yahweh thy Elohim for any vow. For even both these are abomination unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Wait a minute. We got to stop here. Okay. Sodomite. In fact, let me look it up while I'm talking to you, so I don't say I'm making anything up. Let me look up the word in the Hebrew, sodomite. Okay, let me just look up that word. I mean, obviously has to do with sodomy. I think we can agree with that, right? Sodomite has to do with sodomy, but I like to read it. I mean, I just want to make sure I'm not making stuff up, so I'm gonna look it up while I'm talking to you, right? So I want to see it. I want to see it in black and white. Sodomy. Sodomite. I want to see what the Hebrew says about sodomy, sodomite. Right there, let's see. 6945. And it's Sodom. All right, 69:45. Let's take a look at that. 69:45. I think that's what it says here. Yep, 69:45. Let me just take a look at that while we're here, right? Let's just take a look and see what it says. Sodomy, sodomite. Let's take a look and see what it says. 69. I mean, I'm serious. I was looking at 69:45. So what it says here. It says Kodesh, sanctity, a sacred place or thing. A sacred person devoted by prostitution to licentious idolatry. Unclean. And you know, it's interesting. It's very close to the word Kadash, which means holy. So in other words, it's a set apart, but this person is set apart, a devotee to prostitution. By prostitution, a sacred person, technically a male, devotee by prostitution to licentious idolatry. Ooh, that's pretty strong. So a male prostitute, that is somebody that has sex with men for money. Of course, they exist today. I mean, a lot of these senators and them be buying them. They just caught one a couple months ago buying a male prostitute, underage dude at that. Anyway, so no whore of the daughters of Israel. That's pretty obvious. So let's talk about what a whore is in the Bible. Now, we commonly refer to a whore as a person that gets paid to sell her body, right? She sells her body for money. She sells her body for people to generally have sex with her, but they do other things with her in order, and she gets paid for that. That's a whore. And why does the Bible speak against whoredom? Because to the Most High, a woman is a sacred thing. A woman is a sacred person because she is a representation of the body of Messiah. That's what she is. And so the holiness of the woman is very important to the nation. You understand? The holiness of the woman is very important. So the brothers need to be protecting the woman's holiness, praise the Most High, not trying to exploit her. And the woman should be protecting her holiness. Okay? She should be really, chaste. Praise the Most High. But a whore is not only in the Bible a woman that, I'm going to test you now. I'm going to give you, there's two types of whores in the Bible. There's one that's the woman that sells her body for money. Tell me the other one. Tell me the other one. There's actually three types. But tell me the other one. Give me one of the other two. All right. No. What else? Give me more specific. Be more specific now. Church means called out assembly. Israelites are called out assembly. They're not whores. Or the church, the Most High Israel is not whores. What is the second type? Wait a minute. A woman that's having sex with more than one dude. Sex with different dudes. A promiscuous woman is considered a whore, even if she's not being paid. Right? A promiscuous woman. Because in the Bible, a woman is only supposed to have sex with how many men? How many men is she supposed to have in her life? One. That's exactly right. She's supposed to have one man. And that's why when we read last time, we talked about how a woman, the man said she wasn't a virgin. And the Bible says she had played the whore in her father's house. She has played the whore in her father's. I mean, she has sex with another man while she's betrothed to this man. That's a whore. Okay. Also, of course, a whore is a woman that is having sex with a man that is not an Israelite, and she's an Israelite, but she's having sex with a man that's not Israelite. That's another. That's whoredom. That's adultery against the Most High Yah himself. Right? But you're only supposed to give your body to people that are in the nation. And people, men of the nation, are supposed to only share themselves with women that are women of the nation. Praise the Most High. Right? Israelites. So there you go. So no whore, but no prostitute, no women that's promiscuous of the daughters of Israel. The daughters of Israel are holy. Remember what he said? He said, because he has brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Yasha'al. You can't do that. The virgin daughter of Yasha'al is holy to the Most High Yah. And so, no, you can't do that. Don't talking about his women like that. Okay. Now the sodomite. Now wait a minute. It's beliefs. J-Free has nothing to do with race at all. Has nothing to do with race at all. That's man putting that out there, and that's a good question. Let me just address that real quick. We have talked about that in previous lessons, but I want to address that because you're new and other people out here don't know. Okay, let's talk about it in modern terms. Modern terms. In the United States of America, just for example, is where I live. Many of you live here too. United States of America, though not everybody in the world is here, but everybody watches this country. So let's take a look. People of color, so-called African Americans, so-called because we're not African and we're not Americans, were brought here in slave ships to serve Caucasian people, so-called white people. Okay? And there's a separation between the races. That separation, by the way, was established and strengthened by the Caucasian people. They established that separation so that if a black man look at a white woman, he has been killed and lynched in time past. If he bumped into a white woman by accident, he can be killed. Not only him, but whole towns can be wiped out. If a white woman claimed, so-called white woman claimed, even if it didn't happen, if she claimed, like in Rosewood, Florida, if she claimed that he did something to her and he didn't, whole city lynched, right out, burned to the ground. Okay? That was established by the Caucasian people, separation. So now what you got? A situation where you got people that have been privileged and in power in the country for 400 years or more, right? So you got a situation where you had Caucasian people of economic and political power to exercise that power and authority in such a way that they are above anybody else, but especially the black man in the United States. Okay. So now you have a separation, and this separation has been for a long time. So then over the course of time, among the black people, black people decide, okay, they want to separate from us. We don't need them either. So we don't want to mess with them at all. So now there's a real separation. And now as we're coming in these last days, there's been two types of societies. And even the people of the government and other people have done studies, and they say there's two separate societies, one black, one white, or so-called white, Caucasian. And what happens is, and this is the truth about it, and tell me if you don't see it, over 400 years of being in a privileged situation, it causes the people to think a certain way, they act a certain way, they expect certain things, right? And over 400 years of being the last hired, the first fired, the most lynched, the most diseased, the most oppressed, the most destroyed, the most imprisoned, there's certain things that come with that. So that this the typical, and they've done studies on this, and you can look it up. I haven't looked it up in a while, so my numbers might be old, but I have looked it up in time past. But on average, a black male with the same education and work experience as his Caucasian counterpart will make 30% less than his Caucasian counterpart. On average, he'll make 30% less. So if he wants to live in the same neighborhood as his Caucasian counterpart, he's going to have to make it do with 30% less money than the man he might want to live next to. If he wants to buy the same car as his Caucasian counterpart, he's going to have to make that situation happen with 30% less money. Okay, that's the way it works. Even with the same education and everything. And of course, by and large, black males don't, by and large, have the same level of education on average. They get less education, they get worse education. A lot of them have prison records because of the societies against them. So now you have that against you. So now, if a Caucasian woman wants to be with a black man, and she doesn't understand this, that he's going to be less paid, he's going to be last hired, first fired, he's going to be oppressed because of his color, she's not going to be able to deal with him. And he's not really going to be able to make her happy because she's used to certain things. She's used to being able to go wherever she wants to in this land and not be bothered. She's used to being protected. She's used to getting what she wants in this country. and she by and large has gotten it. So he's not going to be, and that causes a lot of friction. So people look at that and they call it a mixed marriage. Okay, they call it a mixed marriage. Okay, now in the Bible, that is not a mixed marriage. In the Bible, that's not a mixed marriage. Because in the Bible, nations were not separated by the color of their skin. The Egyptian nation was black people, but they were heathen, Hamitic. The Hebrew nation of Israel are the Most High's people, and they are black people. So they two, you got the same color, but you got one that's heathen and one that's not. Does that make sense, brothers and sisters? So really, in the Bible, nations are divided based on what God they worshiped. What God they worshiped. So with the Israelite nation, it was the Most High Yahweh. With Egyptian, it was Ra, the sun god, among other gods, but it was Ra, the sun god, right? With the Philistines, it was Dagon, the fish god, and so on and so forth. So you had different gods. So that's why when he's telling them, don't give your daughters to them to marry, and don't give your sons to them to marry. Don't take their daughters because they worship other gods. That's unequally yoked. You understand? And so today, what we're dealing with is people are confused because you had the Caucasian people claiming that if a person has one drop of black blood, they black. Well, you know, they telling the truth there because the Y chromosome is the dominant chromosome, but that's a different story. But they so opposed to the black man that if anybody has caught having any black in their blood, they consider black and they're second-class citizens. That's still the truth today in many, especially the southern states, Alabama, Mississippi. They still think like that to this day. Louisiana, they still think like that. Okay? There's no different. Okay, so they call that mixed marriage, but that's in this nation, in this modern society. In the Bible, it's not a mixed marriage unless you are with somebody that's worshiping another God. You understand? Everybody following what I'm saying? See? So there's a confusion out here. Now, let me further confuse you. In the United States of America, a black man and a white woman could be a mixed marriage, even in biblically, because they might believe two different things. They might serve two different gods. Right? It could happen if you got, or even you get two black people, but one of them wants to serve Yah according to the Bible, and one of them wants to be a pork-eating Baptist. That's unequally yoked. Right? Right. And then you got people that are raised differently. Some people are raised with certain privileges that other people don't have. You know, you can't expect the people that are raised with the privilege all of a sudden to get unused to the privilege. It's just natural for them to used to have the privilege. Okay? So the mixed marriage in the Bible has mostly to do with what God you worship. Who's your God? Is it Yah? Who is it? What you represent? What nation you represent? And that's why I put a post out on Facebook. I told everybody Adam was a black man. So everybody in the world got a black daddy. So you want to claim white, you trying to run away from who you are. Because all y'all black. You all got black daddy, man. You're trying to run away from Adam. Adam's a black man. So you can't run away from your daddy, man. So you got to claim something else. But it's a big deal here in the United States, right? It's a big deal because you can't even fill out a job application without them asking you what race you are. I used to think they were asking you that because they're trying to make affirmative action, but that ain't true. They try to ask you that to weed you out. Right. See, they'll ask you to weed you out. All y'all came from a black daddy. Adam was a black man. See, all of us come from Adam. We all come from black daddy. You start calling yourself white, you just trying to make yourself something else, man. There ain't no such thing as white. If you come from your Fet, you come from them tribes up there in the north. Yep, Anglo-Saxon, Caucasian, Germanic tribes. Okay, no such thing as white though. Somebody tell you, if you want to really tell the truth about it, somebody say you white, say, no, I'm Caucasian. No, I'm Anglo-Saxon. No, I'm from the tribes of Yafet. But Adam is my daddy, and Adam was a black man. You want to tell the truth about it? I tell you what, though, a lot of Caucasian people ain't gonna say that, man, because they don't want nothing to do with that. They don't want nothing to do with that life. But anyway, we talk about sodomite right now, right? So sodomite is a person that practices sodomy. Okay, let's just be real. A person that either likes to put his private parts in the backside of somebody else's private parts, right? Or have somebody else put their private male pieces into your anal cavity, right? That's sodomy, right? Now, wait a minute. That's the practice of sodomy, right? So now wait, a person that doesn't have a natural affection for a woman. We talked about this. There are people, some by birth, that just don't have a natural affection to be with a woman. Okay, they just don't have it. But let me explain something to you. There's a difference between a person that just doesn't have a desire to be with a woman. There's a difference between that and a person that involved with anal sex with the same sex and anal sex. There's a difference. Just because you don't want to be with a woman doesn't necessarily mean you must have a man. According to the Bible, you can be a eunuch for the kingdom of Yah's sake. It's better for you to be with nobody if you're a man than to be with another man. And it's better for you to be with nobody if you're a woman than to be licking up on another woman. Okay? That's all y'all could do is lick up on each other because you ain't built to be with another woman. Okay? That's exactly right. So if you're a woman and you're born with a natural, you're naturally repelled by the thought of having a man, being with a man, okay. That doesn't mean you need to be going with another woman. And if you're a man and you are naturally repelled by the thought of being with a woman, okay, that doesn't mean you need to be with a man. Exactly. Being a eunuch is better than breaking the commandments of Yah and dishonoring your body, because that's what you're doing. When you do these things, sodomy and lesbianism, you are dishonoring the temple of Yah. You are dishonoring your body and you're dishonoring your creator. What you do? You honor him even if you're born with these tendencies. And I'm stressing that because there are people that are born with those tendencies. Even if you're born with that tendency, you honor your creator by staying by yourself. You're just, marriage is not built for everybody. Just because not everybody's built to be with somebody. That's the truth about it. Exactly right. Okay? Don't fight it, you know what I'm saying? But you don't need to be a sodomite and you don't need to be a lesbian. You don't. That's a choice that part is a choice you make. You choose to have a man's penis up in you, in your anal parts if you're a man. You choose that. Okay? That's your choice. Or you're a woman to go kissing up and licking up on a woman. That's your choice. But you may not have chosen how you feel. That may be natural. But you can choose whether to do it. And let me just break it down like this. Even if you heterosexual and you are born and I'm a man and I like to look, I like women, no question. I'm married, I'm a man married, but listen, I see a pretty woman, I like to look at her, I see it. I ain't lusting, I ain't chasing after her. But hey, listen, some of these women walk around tight pants stuff. You can't say you don't see it. I see it. But that doesn't necessarily mean I choose to go after it. You understand? I can choose not to go after. Just because I'm a man and I naturally am attracted to a woman, that doesn't mean I choose to go after every woman I see or any woman I see that's not my wife. That's exactly right. You don't have to act. That's a choice to act on. All right? There you go. So everybody has choices to make. There you go. No matter what your natural tendencies are. That's why we deal in spirit. We deal in spirit of righteousness. The Most High can keep you from falling. Whether you are homosexual tendencies or lesbian tendencies or heterosexual whoremongering tendencies, whatever your tendencies are, He can cause you to overcome. You don't have to be a sodomite. You don't have to be a lesbian. That doesn't necessarily mean you mean to be married to somebody. just to try to say, you overcame that demon and you are gay and you married. That has ended in disaster more times than most people want to, some gay dude that's really into men and trying to prove that he's into women and gets with a woman and ends up cheating on his woman with another man. That has happened so many times, especially in Christian churches. Some people just not supposed to be with anybody. It's just how it is. It's unfortunately true. It's how it is. Apostle Paul never married anybody. And in spite of what the Muslims try to say, Messiah never married everybody. Never married anybody. He was by himself 33 and a half years till he died. Apostle Paul by himself his whole life. Never had children. Okay? So not everybody's supposed to be with people, man. Okay, let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 19 and 20. Yeah. That's another perversion. Verse 19 and okay. Verse 18 is kind of self-explanatory. Verse 19 and 20. Well, I gotta touch base. I gotta be thorough. Let me touch base on verse 18. So when somebody vowed a vow, they put money up. They gave money to the priest as part of the vow. Okay. And so in verse 18, it's like a whore cannot use the money she gained from being a whore to bring it into the house of the Most High and make a vow. Okay. Or the price of a dog. So it's equating the money that a whore gets with a dog. Yeah, sin, exactly. So like somebody make money from killing, people sling drugs, make money, and then they have to shoot and kill other people for their turf. That money is dirty money. Okay, that's dirty money. I know people want them bills paid. I know some of these cats out here hustling to try to make it, that's the only way they know, but it's a setup. The drug trade is a setup from the Caucasian man to destroy you. Setup. So the whole thing's a setup. But yeah. See, the Most High cares about where the money comes from. He cares about where it comes from. That's the principle here. See, he cares about where it comes from. That's why myself, I just have this thing. I just never play the lottery. You know why I never play the lottery? Because it's gambling. And what's the problem with gambling? When you gamble, you're stealing. When you gamble, you're stealing. Say, how is that stealing? You're putting on the line money that the Most High has blessed you with, whether through your ability to work or whatever way you got it. He gave you that ability to work, and he gave you the ability to earn. And you're taking that and you're throwing it at something for the chance to get something for nothing or to lose it. So to me, that's dirty money. Winning, gambling, and that's what lotteries are, gambling. So that's dirty money. You're taking a chance to get something for nothing. The Most High doesn't want to give you money that you haven't earned. Okay? You can't earn his righteousness, but he wants you to earn your money. The Bible says he that doesn't work and provide for his own is worse than an infidel. Worse than an infidel. That's right. We got to do something. I mean, not everybody could work. Maybe you hurt yourself. Maybe you got some sort of affliction, but you could do your part. Yeah, anything where you're taking a chance on losing money. Okay, if there's no money involved, it's a different thing. If there's no money involved, it's a whole different thing, right? So if you're playing a game and there's money involved that you could just lose based on a chance, that's gambling. But when there's no money involved, it's a different thing. So if you're playing bingo and there's no money involved, that's just fun. That's okay. But if you're playing bingo and you could lose money, you got to put up some money that you could lose, that's gambling. And now you're taking a chance on money that the Most High does not want you to take risks like that with money that he's blessed you with. That's throwing it away. That's irresponsible. Really is. And people get addicted to gambling. There are people that are addicted to gambling that have lost everything on addicted to gambling, being addicted to gambling. And the lottery is just gambling, and that's all that stuff is. It's gambling, man. Okay, so I never played the lottery. My father played all the time because he's just looking for $1 any kind of way he could save it, man. But he come from a poor background. But thanks to him, I have not grown up like that. I know what it's like to have little, but I've never been, and I've had little. But when I was growing up, my father always made sure we had food in the house. So he plays a lot because he grew up dirt poor. But I've learned that it's gambling, and I don't want it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I just, so I try to avoid it. People have given me scratch offs for gifts, and I give them to somebody else. I give them away. I give them to somebody else. Yeah. People have given me scratch offs for gifts. I give them to somebody else because I don't want something for nothing. That's gambling. I want to do it. That's verse 18. I'm glad I went into it. That's verse 18. Now let's go to verse 19 and 20 of Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 19 and 20. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Upon a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury. That Yahweh thy Elohim will bless thee in all that thou settest thy hand to in the land, whether thou goest to possess it. Again, this is to do with the land. So he's saying Israelites do not lend to each other upon each other with interest. There was to be no interest upon Israelites. So when somebody was borrowing from somebody, there was no interest on the money. When somebody was borrowing against their land, there was no interest. There was no mortgage interest. Okay, no interest. The Islamic people, the strict Islamic people, practice that to this day. In Islamic nations, they don't do, and banks don't do interest. They don't do interest. And when I was working in the bank, when I was managing the bank, there are many Muslim people coming and say, I don't want any account that does interest. They don't want to put their money in interest, and they don't want to borrow interest or anything. Very strict. Some of them accumulated good money too, but they didn't do anything with interest, man. Yeah, so but he said upon a stranger. So in other words, if you're an Israelite nation and you overcome a Moabite nation or you overcome another nation, you could charge interest to them. But you can't charge interest to your own nation, your own brothers. So now we don't have a nation right now, but we do have brothers and sisters, ox and akos in the nation. So when one of our brothers, if this is what I always say, this is the rule of thumb I always go by. If I can't afford to use it, I'm not going to lend it to you. So if I can afford to lose it, I'll just give it to you. And why? Because a lot of people want to borrow and don't pay back, and that causes bad feelings, right? That causes bad feelings. Somebody borrows some money from you and they never pay you back. Now they funny because now they look at you, and some people got the gall, laughing, smiling in your face as if they don't owe you any money when they owe you money. That made me feel bad. That's happened to me. Lent money to people, and they come and look at me like they don't know why I'm looking at them funny. Like, I lent you money, you ain't even think about giving it back, right? But I've learned from that. Don't give nobody money that you are not afraid to just let go. All right, if somebody say, and that's when somebody come to me and say, I need $20. I'm gonna say, here, did I pay back? I said, no, don't even think about that. I'm giving you the money. If I don't have it next time, I might say I don't have it, but I'm giving it. Usury is interest. It's interest. It's lending money with interest, like the banks do. Yeah, like the banks do. Lending money with interest. That's what usury is. Yeah, that's what that is. Lending money with interest. Yeah. So if you're going to lend somebody money, I mean, unless you're sure they're going to pay you back, I've learned If you can, if you're not afraid to lose, just give it to them. If they want 500 and you don't have 500, and you got 100 that you can say, okay, I'll give you this 100. I got 100. Give you 100. Well, don't expect it back. Now you're not gonna have no bad feelings. So now the next time, or if the next time they come to you, say, hey, listen, I need another 50. Say, look, you know what? I ain't got it, man. I'm sorry, I don't have it. Right, exactly. But just be prepared. Don't expect it back. That's right. Don't expect it back. That way you'll never be disappointed. There'll never be no hard feelings. You gave the person the money, and now you don't expect it back, and there's no hard feelings. So now if they come to you and you don't have it, you could just simply, because you gave them money before, now you can say, you know what? I don't have it, man. I'm sorry, I don't have it. Oh man, you ain't got it 20 minutes. No, I'm sorry, I don't have it, man. I ain't got it this time. Sorry about that. They ain't got it this time. Okay. Well, now, because they know you've given it to them before, so now you don't have it, right? But if you got it, say, well, listen, I don't have 50, but I got 20. I can give you 20. Okay, yeah, take the 20, man. Go. That's it. Now you ain't got no hard feelings. But if you lend somebody money and they don't give it back to you, you feel bad. You're like, it's funny now. Now it's funny feelings, right? Because you're feeling some kind of way. They feeling some kind of way, right? So there you go. All right. That's another principle now. Because what principle is that? Thou shalt not covet. Right? Thou shalt not covet. Right? People that want to lend money on usury, they looking to gain from somebody, right? Don't covet that. That's right. That's the principle. Praise the Most High Yah. Okay, let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 23. From verse 21 down to verse 23. When thou shalt vow a vow unto Yahweh thy Aliyim, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For Yahweh thy Aliyim will surely require it of thee, and it will be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that. But that which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform. Even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed unto Yahweh thy Aliyim, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. So you notice how. Well, first of all, don't let nobody coerce you into making any promises that there's a chance you can't keep. Right? Testing, right? Don't let somebody try to coerce you in making any promises about something that there's a possibility you may not be able to perform it. Because the Most High will hold you accountable for anything you promise to do. All right? That's number one. And do you notice how the church is always begging you for money? I need a pledge. I need somebody to pledge to help us do this, build this new church, and I need somebody to pledge 20. I need somebody to pledge 100. They're getting you to try to make a promise, a vow, so that they can get that money. Huh? Don't let anybody make you promise anything if you're not ready to pay. Because you got to perform your vow. The Most High hears you. You're an Israelite. The Most High hears your vows. Well, let me ask you this question. Are you ready? Testing 1, 2. I'm getting ready to ask you a question. You ready? Listen here. What vow does every Israelite make? Every Israelite has to make one vow. How many? What vow does every Israelite make? Every Israelite. That's right. What vow to the Most High? That's right. That's right. That's right. What vow? What vow? To love Yah? What else? Right? What else? To love him. What does that mean? To love him, Bathaman. What does that mean? To love him? Shaka. That's right. To obey him. That's right. Everybody makes a vow to obey the word of the Most High, to keep his covenant. That's a vow we must pay. Other than that, oh no, man, anything. Don't make any vows. Don't make any vows you ain't got to make, right? Because you owe the Most High obedience. You owe him that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be one of his nation. You owe him obedience, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be a part of his nation. All right? You owe him obedience. Praise the Most High. Okay, so you owe him obedience, but Other than that, don't. And like what? Certain promises we make. You get electric in your house every month. Your lights come on. That means you have promised. You have an agreement. You have promised to pay the electric company for the service they have provided you, to provide you with electricity, to have you lights in your house. Is that true or not? Right? You have to pay. You have promised. You have heat in your house. It's cold and you have heat, or it's hot and you got air conditioning, or the heat. Right? The heat costs money. Right? You promised to pay. You got to pay. That's before you pay any church anything. You promised. They provided. They provided. They will. They part of the agreement. You got to pay. You got to pay. Right? I have a car note. I promised the bank I would pay them for this money they lent me to get this car. I don't say buy the car because the bank owns it until I pay it off, right? So now I promised to pay them this money back. I signed my name to it. Otherwise, they wouldn't lend me the money, right? Or if you have a mortgage, you promise to pay the bank or whoever lent you this money, this mortgage, right? So, okay. So these are promises we make. We make a lot of promises in Babylon, in modern Babylon, don't we? Well, we have to, right? But so that means be careful with promises you don't gotta make. Right? Be careful. Don't make promises you don't have to make. You understand? Don't make promises you don't have to make. Promises put pressure on you. I mean, promises you don't have to make. When you come to the Most High, He gives you power to fulfill your promises. And like I said, it's your choice. It's my choice. But don't start making promises you ain't got to make to people. Or even to the Most High. Don't make promises you don't have to make. He only wants you to obey Him. Don't start going overboard. Huh? Praise the Most High, Yah. He said, that which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform. So be careful what you say. Okay. Verse 24. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 24. When thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, then thou mayest eat grapes, thy fill at thy own pleasure, but thou shalt not put any in thy vessel. There you go. So if you're coming across a field like Messiah was with his disciples, and they were hungry, and there was corn in the field, wasn't their field. What did they do? They plucked the corn and they started eating the corn. But the Bible is saying, don't put it in your vessel. Don't take a whole, put it in your bag and take some with you. Why? Why can't you do that? What's the principle here? What's the principle here? Why can't you do that? That's right. You're stealing. That's exactly right. You're stealing. Why are you stealing? Because the Most High said to owner of the vineyard or the owner of the field that he should leave some for the poor. He said, don't even glean the whole field. Leave some for the poor to eat so they can go out there and get what they want and eat. But if you start taking of that man's stuff so that you can go sell it, right? Now you're stealing. He has planted it for himself to sell, or for himself to have for his family to save up in his barn. But you're stealing his labor, right? That's stealing. But you could eat what you want. Eat what you want. He said, eat to your full. Eat what you want. But don't take any and take it with you, because that's not yours. That belongs to somebody else. That's stealing. See the principles. Praise the Most High for the principles of righteousness that he gives his people. Praise the Most High for it. And again, verse 25, when thou comest into the standing corn of thy neighbor, then thou mayest pluck the ears with thy hand, but thou shalt not move a sickle unto thy neighbor's standing corn. Now, this is why when Messiah came through the fields and they were eating the corn, and you remember the scribes and Pharisees tried to accuse them of breaking Sabbath. Remember, they said, you breaking the Sabbath because you're plucking corn, you're working. See, they weren't breaking the Sabbath. They were following this law that we we see right here. Deuteronomy chapter 23. They were eating corn. They were allowed to pluck from a field that wasn't theirs. They could eat it. And they weren't breaking the Sabbath, but man-made rules. See, that's what people get confused about. Messiah did not nail the law of Yah to the cross. He nailed all man-made rules to the cross. That's what he did. He nailed man-made rules and regulations to the cross. At every turn that he had a chance, when he was on the earth, he was breaking all of their man-made rules that they added to the commandments of Yah. And that's what he told him. He said, well have Isaiah spoken to you, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. He said, you add to the commandments of Yah and you break Yah's law. And that's what the Bible said. When you add or take away from his law, you're not keeping his law. That's a whole different law. And that's what the scribes and Pharisees had done. They had created their own religion. They had created their own set of laws, and they tried to use the Most High's laws. They added and took away from his law for their own. And that's what people do in every Christian church today. They do the same thing. They add or take away from the laws of the Most High, and they don't even have the laws of the Most High anymore. They have their own law. But Messiah wasn't breaking. He never broke any Sabbath command. He never broke any commandment. He never sinned. So when he was walking through the field plucking corn, he wasn't breaking the Sabbath. He was keeping the Shabbat. But he was eating, and his disciples eating because they were allowed to eat of that field. Praise the Most High Yah. Praise Yah for his principles of righteousness that he teaches us how to obey his covenant. Praise the Most High Yah. Praise Yah. I'm going to take questions or whatever you guys might have. I'm going to let me stop the recording part.